Hello and welcome to another episode of The Brave Room. As always, I am your host, Juan Amiral. So we're joined here today by Aaron Kaufman from Square Santa Monica Enix. Say hi, Aaron, I guess.
No, hey guys, I really appreciate being here. It's really an honor, and it's always awesome to connect with folks like yourself who are doing good, raising this industry up, and all of our fans around the world, no matter what games you're a fan of.
And with me today is also joining me is Kit. Say hi, Kit.
Hey, hello. I'm fellow writer of the Gaming Base team too.
It's been a week, so
No doubt.
yeah. So we hope, to our dear listeners, we hope that you're keeping safe right now.
Yeah, it's a crazy effing world out there right now. I think wherever you live, every country is dealing with their own, challenges, and certainly here in the U.S., we've got our fair share. But I think nonetheless, there's a lot of good humans on this planet, and I'm just happy to be alive, healthy, and well. Have a roof over my head, a job, and I think if we have those things, we should just be grateful for that right now.
Yeah. No doubt.
All right. Before we go into the specifics of your job, can you just describe your formal education before you actually got into the games industry?
Yeah. So I sort of grew up in games, not because my parents or anybody in my family worked in games, but in middle school and high school, I used to help a marketing research firm test video games and collect feedback from kids and adults to understand what consumers thought of games for marketing research. And through that experience, interning and working in that field, I gained a lot of knowledge and a lot of passion for wanting to work in the video game industry. So following high school, with absolutely zero plan to work in the video game industry, but a desire for it, I went to the University of California in San Diego, spent 4 years there getting my bachelor's degree as an undergraduate. And I majored in film. I had originally been inspired by the Matrix films in the late 90s and early 2000s, and had this desire to be a visual effects producer, and I thought that was going to be the glamorous job. And so I thought I was going to film school, but I came out of college with a completely different path and desire to want to get into the gaming industry. And that's the educational path that I took to get in here. But I wouldn't say my college degree is the reason that I'm working in the gaming industry today. So you should all stay in school.
Yeah, we did some background research before you came on the show, and I was surprised to see you have a degree in visual art, right?
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, because I'm not a painter, though my grandma was a potter, and my mom is an architect, and my dad is a photographer. So there is a lot of art that runs through my family, and my sister is a singer. But me, visual artist was the term for film major at UC San Diego. It was just the film school there was a lot more artsy fartsy, if you will. It wasn't like, here, take the camera and let me show you the technicalities of this. It was more like, let's watch these art films and like analyze them. And it wasn't at all what I thought, but I'm proud to have that visual arts major term on my resume.
To that point, like, you do more towards like community management now, right?
Yeah. I've really been a community kind of / social media manager by trade, really since 2004, since I got my foot in the industry.
That's really interesting, because I think a lot of people would think that the idea of a community manager didn't exist until like Twitter did. So 2004 is like a lot further back than people previously thought.
I don't think people necessarily lose sight of this, but I think a lot of the kids and millennials today truly don't know that the word community, really came from like the early days of, say, Blizzard and StarCraft, or EA and The Sims. Even early online games of Doom and Halo and Marathon, and kind of all the early adopters who were building community in the more old school ways using traditional message boards. We see the likes of Reset Era today, which is the closest to a traditional message board that you would find the gaming industry on, where Reddit is really the social media message board of just about anything. But Reddit wasn't around, as prominent as it was, back in 2004. And then, back then it was all about IRC chat rooms, AOL 1.0, folks passionate as yourself starting fan sites and websites. One of my favorite early sites was a place called ModDB, which I think is still around today, but they were one of the earliest places where you would go and find people who were creating UGC from games like Red vs. Blue or, a Minecraft mod. Not that Minecraft existed back then, but that's where you would go to see what people were creating.
I think I actually went to ModDB.
Yeah. So, in those early days, we didn't have social media to build community. What we had was identifying, our most active fans on our message boards, who was talking the most, who had the most posts, who seemed to have some kind of the most clout and influence, and then traditional fan sites. When I was on Command and Conquer back in the day, we had, probably 20 or 30, fan sites that were just dedicated to reporting and kind of fandomizing our game. And they were the ones who people were going to visit to get news and rumors and the latest and greatest what we were doing. And, they were the ones that I really treated as like our inner circle, our inner core, and wanted to make them, feel like you are the influencers of our community. And things have certainly evolved still then, but I do think that the same principles still apply today.
I mean, if you really wanted a blast from the past, Neopets, most of the people were speaking on their message boards too, hosted on the website. There was just so many things on there.
Yeah, I mean, we there's a lot of studios today that bring professional players in or community members to help improve their games. And I by no means am saying that I helped pioneer that trend. There's many before me that did it. But one of the things I did in my earlier days at EA, when I was working again on Command and Conquer, there was a message board called GameReplays.org, and that was kind of where the most advanced Command and Conquer and RTS players were, kind of conversing about the game. And we identified that as a source of, let's bring in some of these players to our studio and treat them as one of our own, not just for a day, but for a week. And we'll make them feel a part of our team. We'll integrate them into our process. And our goal isn't necessarily getting a PR hit or word of mouth out of them. It's literally like, our game best. You have the voice of the community. Help us improve it. Help us make it better. And we called that our Command and Conquer balance test. And I think that really set the stage for a lot of my thinking for years to come, and how to engage with your fans in a way that feels like you're at my dinner table. And yes, it's my dinner table, but I'm inviting you to it, and you can come sit at this dinner table whenever you want. Or you want to go have a beer at the pub, or you want to go have a coffee, let's go do that. But I always want to treat you and talk to you like you're me and I'm you, and we're one of the same. And that's how I want our authentic relationship to feel when we're engaging with our fans.
That's definitely a great way to put it. The whole dinner table thing. I think back in the day that definitely felt a lot better compared to nowadays with like the influencer based stuff. It feels very pre-packaged, like, hey, I'm at this studio, convenient hashtag right here.
Yeah, I think I'm a big fan of influencer, or I think what many of us refer to them as creators. Whether you're a YouTuber with 100 subscribers or you're Mr. Beast with 100 million across all your channels, I like to think that we're all coming at it from a similar passion of love for the IPs that we want to celebrate, love for wanting to just engage with an audience. And I really admire, as big as Fortnite is, for example, I remember they did a thing, maybe it was a year ago, where they basically had a game jam with a set of professional players and creators from their community, and they brought them in for, I think it was like a 2-day affair. They turned it into a bit of like a reality show. But I think the intent and the desire behind it to create, unexpected creations from their modding tools for Fortnite, and then release those into the wild as pieces of work that the Epic and the Fortnite team said, this has our stamp of approval. I thought that was a really, really awesome way to work with quote influencer. The traditional model of giving codes to influencers, having them play the game, hashtag ad, all that to generate impressions. There's merit to that. I support it. But I think when we're really trying to build relations, it's more than just giving the code. It's, how am I developing a relationship with you, a friendship, so that it's not just I'm giving you a code to reach your audience. I'm giving you a code as a way to introduce myself to you. And that takes time, that takes effort. And it's not time and effort that everybody has. But I think every social or community manager at heart, or influencer marketer at heart, I think the ones who really appreciate the art of it, I think that's really where they'd want to be.
It's one of those, you understand that not every studio can do it for every project, but you really appreciate it when they do.
Yeah, especially I totally get a lot of the indie developers, they don't have a big publisher over their head who has the clout of a Square Enix or an EA or a Blizzard who, we're fortunate at Square Enix. We have a built-in audience of millions of fans around the world. I don't have to try half as hard as an indie game developer who is just getting started to build their brand and their game and build a following. Granted, Square Enix has been around for many, many years. So, especially for game developers or, community managers of those game developers that are trying to use every tactic in the book to get the word out about their incredible game, I'm a big supporter of that, whether you're doing a traditional influencer model or, you're doing an old school tactic of bringing, gamers in to check out your game and go report back on it. Whatever you can do that makes it feel like it's genuine and authentic, I'm always going to be a supporter of that.
Presumably, it's because you say you started in 2004. That's now 17 years ago. You've had to explain this job to people who may not be familiar with the whole shebang of it.
Oh my gosh.
What do you think are the most common misconceptions?
Common misconceptions. Well, I think a funny common misconception is that people think a lot of times that social media channels might be run by a junior person or an intern, which is often not the case. A lot of times you got very experienced people with 10 years of experience that are doing the work behind there. And no matter what age you are, we can talk the talk and walk the walk and speak the lingo. So I think that's a funny misconception. I think a lot of times people underestimate. There's a misconception on the time and effort that goes into the planning and scheduling and creation of content that you see on social media. For us at Square Enix, it may not sound like we have a lot of channels when I tell you that we have Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, and a YouTube, and those are our primary channels. But when you look at us and you think, wow, we've got 8 to 12 games that are active at any given time that we are marketing or post-marketing or supporting and engaging and content, and the fact that all 8 to 12 of those games might have a different marketing person, a different PR person. At any given time on any given week, my team and I might be working with 40 to 50 people all in across various emails and have to kind of juggle those communications, juggle those nuances and tendencies of what's okay and what's not okay. So I don't even know if it's a misconception, but there might be a fairly vast misunderstanding of how much thought and effort and kind of planning goes into running social media channels. It's not just we come in one day and we're like, oh, we're going to tweet this right now. Sure, that happens. And that did happen yesterday. There was this thought cloud bubble meme that was going on Twitter, and we saw that, and Square Enix, we decided to participate in it. And we within 5 minutes, we came up with an idea and we put something out, and it got great engagement. But those ideas don't just, fall in your lap every 5 minutes. We're planning days, weeks out in advance. So I think the other big misconception is just understanding that social media managers really have to be among the best communicators in any kind of industry, any kind of profession. We as a social media manager are honestly, we are as much PR and marketing and social media combined. Every word, every character, everything we put out there is representing the brand of whatever it is you're working on. And if you say something irks someone or that goes left when you're supposed to go right or whatever, and you didn't think about that, that can turn into an issue. And I've had moments like that in my career, and thankfully none have been, horrendous. But you got to really, really make sure that when you push that tweet button or post that Facebook post, that is it on tone? Is it on brand? Is it the right thing to say? Have I thought through like the reaction to this or the chain reaction to this? And those are like milliseconds that you're thinking through those things. And eventually it becomes second nature. It becomes kind of your habit, but there's a lot of skill and time that goes into kind of becoming that type of person. And it takes practice, and you will fail along the way, but it definitely is not easy.
It's funny you bring that up. Sometimes you make a tweet and you don't realize like how far south it can go.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to talk about other studios' case studies? Because I think it was last year during the BLM protests. I think it was 2K. They tweeted something about, "Hey, cops are pigs, but you can kill them in Duke Nukem," or something like that. And it was just like, wow, someone okayed this, huh?
I mean, to be honest with you, I don't recall any. I don't recall that in particular, and I hope for the best if something like that did occur, that whoever was involved in that situation, that there was a learning from it and it worked itself out. I have friends that work at 2K, and I love everybody at 2K, and I think from my own personal experience, especially with like sensitive situations when there are, like let's take Trump right now, or just politics in general, right? Mm-hmm. No matter what side you're on, regardless, there are names in our country right now that are at the center of controversy, and as a brand, there are brands out there that are really believe in their platform and want to go take a stand, and I completely respect that. I'll call one out: Ben and Jerry's ice cream, major brand here. They own who they are, they own their identity, and they're proud of it. And I think for us here at Square Enix, like, we're extremely proud of who we are as a brand, and we have a different strategy. We have a different way that we communicate. That's maybe not who we are today, might not be who exactly we will be, but we took a stand during Black Lives Matter to support that. We took a stand during Pride Month to create a new mascot to start showing our support, down that road. And I think it's really the responsibility of every brand to kind of to figure out like what's authentic to you. Don't just latch on to a social calling, just because everybody else is. There are time and places where that makes sense, but if you're going to do it in a way that's authentic to to how you are going to put yourself out there, and think through, like, put ourselves out there, like, what's the resulting reaction? Are we doing this from like a true, genuine place? And that's very difficult. That's it's a very, very sensitive part of the role. It's a very difficult part to talk about, because it's hard to like say what's right, what's wrong, what's not enough. But I know for the better part of my career, I've always tried to be neutral. Especially for my personal brand, my personal account. I take pride in standing up for what I believe in, but I also take pride in recognizing that in my role, in this kind of role, I work at a company, and my voice can impact the brand of that company. And so I take that into consideration. I take my friends and family into consideration. So, not to belabor the point, but when you're a social media manager and you're dealing with issues like that, it's a very challenging process in your head to kind of know what's the right thing to say and what's not the right thing to say.
Yeah, therein lies the skill, isn't it?
Yeah, I understand, because oftentimes you can also get comments like you're not doing enough and that sort of thing, and it's hard because you have a job. You also like to help in what way you can, but there is a certain point where it might be a bit hard to toe the line.
Yeah, it's a difficult subject to talk about because I don't want to veer into a place where I'm speaking on behalf of any other brand or their philosophy and beliefs, and even our own company at Square Enix, like we are. I think we're very passionate about wanting to be part of the conversations that we feel are authentic to what we believe in, and I think that's a direction that you'll see us press more into in the years to come. We're taking our time. But we're putting our words down on paper where we think they matter, and then super proud to be part of that journey since I came in here. It's been quite a first year having to kind of be in a role where a lot of these real world issues do intersect your strategy, your social media brand strategy, and how do you what's the one that you in some respects jump on the bandwagon, what's the one that is kind of true to your heart. How do you appease everybody when in reality you probably can't?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter what industry you're in. Those are questions that any social media manager or PR or marketer kind of has to ask themselves when your brand intersects with real world issues like that.
You were at Santa Monica previously, right? Santa Monica Studios,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
now you're at good old Squeenix.
Good old Squeenix, nice.
Like, and any big differences from the jump?
Oh man, it's a great question. I love answering this to people that I kind of explain my role to. So when I was at Santa Monica Studio, and truly since I started my career in 2004 at EA Los Angeles, I've always been on the studio side. I've always been a community or social media manager, whatever you want to call me, who is embedded right there next to the creative director. At Santa Monica Studio, I worked hand in hand with Corey Barlog, creative director of God of War. My boss was Shannon Studstill, head of studio. I was in many ways oversaw the social media strategy for the studio and our games, and I was a conduit to our marketing and PR partners and kind of anybody who was touching the brand of God of War or Santa Monica Studio generally would connect with me. And in many cases, I would connect them through me with other folks of our studio. And that was really kind of the source of my career for the last 15 years, understanding development teams and how games are made and the tendencies of developers and really understanding it from that side. Well, now here at Square Enix, hope nobody kills me for saying it that way.
I'm gonna use that now.
I'm on the mothership side. I'm on the publisher side, the other side of the coin, where now I'm on the side working with the various studio community managers of our different games in Square Enix, and predominantly my own team. My team, myself and my team, we oversee the brand accounts for Square Enix. So you're at Square Enix, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and our job is really how do we create excitement and awareness and kind of what I call unforgettable engagement with everything touching any games of Square Enix or our merchandise or books or anything under the sun that touches the brand of Square Enix is what we try to kind of share with our fans and get them hype about. But I'm no longer on the studio side. And so now I'm in this like interesting kind of end recipient place where when Marvel's Avengers is creating a new trailer for, say, Kate Bishop, I'm not on the studio side, maybe working with the art director or the creative director to kind of help inform, hey, can we get this out of the trailer or do this to kind of make it work for our Marvel's Avengers social channel? No, now I'm on the other side receiving that trailer and figuring out how do I take this Kate Bishop trailer and promote it on the Square Enix channels, and what are things that I can do with it? Can I take some clips from it? Do I turn it into an Instagram story? So it's a very different side of the coin, but I think the benefit that I bring into this role is a very deep understanding of how games are made and the ways we can approach and work with studios, to make them feel respected, to make them feel like we're honoring, their work, their creations when we promote their games on social. So it's a very interesting and different challenge. I also have a lot more games that I'm working on at once at Santa Monica Studio. It was God of War, maybe a couple other titles like, could be Fat Princess, could be Hohokam, could be The Order 1886. But generally speaking, it was maybe 2 to 3 titles at any given time. Here at Square, it's anywhere from 8 to 12 titles at any given time, be it mobile, be it a game that just got announced, be it Marvel's Avengers, again, a live service game that is, continuing on. I got to think through all the different ways with my team how we support and promote these titles consistently. That's a very different challenge, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it.
Since you were with Santa Monica for the God of War promotional period,
yeah,
I need to know your role in those God of War memes.
My role, oh man, now some of the most infamous game industry memes of all time, I think, right? I mean, I'll be honest, like we weren't the inventors of that. I mean, I say the likes of our brothers and sisters at Naughty Dog, really with Uncharted and The Last of Us. I mean, they really kind of started that trend way back. But I think we took, inspiration is sometimes the sincerest form of flattery. And I think we took a lot of inspiration and tried to level up. And many now have even done it even better than we did it a couple of years ago. My role in it, it was really kind of in two interesting places. I take absolute zero credit, like negative zero, for any of the art or even the inception of the ones you saw out there. One half of my role was helping to come up with the memes and the general ideas that we wanted to do. But to be honest with you, the funny short story is around the launch of the game on April 18th, 2018, Cory Barlog comes to me. I think it might have been mid on launch day, and he shows me on his phone the Atreus thumbs up meme, and he's like, I had the animation team create this. I'm going to tweet it out at midnight when the game launches. And I was like, holy shit, that's amazing. And then he showed me the Kratos throwing the computer in the trash, and I was like, that's even more amazing. And I was like, where did this come from? And he's like, well, the animation team, the animators, they're just, they're kind of in between. We're kind of wrapped up. They had some spare wheels. And until we kind of get going on the next project, we had some time. We just did it. And I was like, okay, that's amazing. I can't wait to help amplify that from our studio accounts. And obviously those took off, and there were only a few created at the time. And because of the success of that, and because the development team had this very limited window of time, we're talking maybe a couple months between, working on projects. And there were other people already working on other projects, but there were some people that just had the time and the passion. Myself, Corey, another woman named Hannah Foyle, great producer over there, and some others, we kind of came together and created just an Excel sheet of different memes we wanted to latch onto. And I think one of the most memorable ones, if not the most memorable, was the Kratos kind of sick burn, with him standing there in the middle of the basketball court and all the other cast, dancing around him. And we hung on to that one for over 6 months, and we were waiting for the right moment. And I kid you not when I say, like, we even thought about, like, if we win an award, do we put it out there? And we're like, no, that's just so disrespectful. We're not, this is one industry. We're not trying to like stomp on anybody. And so then Corey and I kept waiting for the moment. And I had the GIF on my phone. I had it ready to go any day. And the moment happened when I was at the movie theater with my wife seeing, I think it was Avengers Endgame. It might have been Infinity War, but I think it was Endgame because this was almost a year out from the game release. So, I think that's Endgame time. I'm losing my mind here. But anyways, I'm in the movie theater. I'm on Twitter. I'm seeing a bunch of people talking about Avengers before the movie's ready to screen. And I saw this hashtag that Marvel and they were using. And I was like, Corey, this is it. This is the moment. We need to hack this hashtag. We need to put this meme out there. We need to capitalize on the Avengers movie being out and suggest that Kratos could take down Thanos. And this is the sick burn gift that we're going to use to put that out there. And he's like, go. You're right. Let's do it. And so I ran out of the theater to get an internet connection, posted the GIF with, I think the hashtag was something like, we're in this together, or I forgot exactly what it was, but it was clearly like we were taking that hashtag to our own. And I come out of the theater after the movie, and the GIF just had like, endless amounts of engagements and retweets. It turned out to be our most engaged tweet ever from the studio. No surprise. And it was basically suggesting that Kratos could take down Thanos. And that was the story of using that last meme. And I don't think to this date the team has created any more since, but I'm sure there'll be more in the future.
I just love the idea of you're watching Avengers, you see Thanos on screen, you're like, Kratos could take him, and then you do the double take, and you're like, oh, I need to get that thought out.
Yeah, it was like, social is so reactive and fast. Sometimes if you just have the spark of an idea and you have the right asset that's sitting there, you're like, this is it, this is the moment. And I remember it was like so many people. I'm talking like maybe 6 or 7 different people had their hand in the making of that single meme. If you think about the character modelers, the animators, the producer, the different, all more than that, even the code, like think about all the things that just even make that moment possible. And I'm sitting there, lowly social media manager in a theater with this incredible GIF on my phone, waiting 6 months for the moment to use it. And here it is. And everybody was really proud that we used it in that moment. It was the right time and place.
And speaking of right time and place, I guess this would be a good place to end our time in the Brave Room today. Thank you so much to Aaron for coming on. This is your free window to promote anything you'd like.
Well, I as I like to say, I've stolen this quote from a really great book called The Marketing Rebellion by an author named Mark Schaefer, and he says, we are our fans' greatest fans, and that for the last year or two has been my mantra as a social media manager. And I think it goes back to the analogy that I was saying at the beginning that, for anybody who's aspiring to be a social media manager, if you're a social media manager out there already, no matter what kind of industry you're in or brand you're working on, you are your fans' greatest fans. You are the dinner table that all of your fans should be welcome to come sit at. And at the end of the day, that is the heart and soul of what we're trying to do in how we engage with our audience and promote our brands on social media. And if everything we do, every content we create, all the communications we do come from that frame of mind, I think you'll be in a really great place. And that's certainly what I'm trying to learn and be better at every day.
That's a very nice sentiment. Anyways, Aaron, would you like to promote your Twitter account?
Sure, why not? Self-promotion. Yeah, my Twitter account, you can follow me at just_tank. If you think of my dinner, my Twitter account as a dinner table, anybody and everybody is welcome to it anytime.
Yeah, so go follow him. Go follow Square Enix, obviously, to go see what they're working on next. Also, leave a comment on the podcast. We want to hear from you. Make sure to rate us as well, so that more people can listen to us, and I can dedicate an entire working day to answering emails. And this has been an episode of The Brave Room. Thank you so much for listening. Be kind to each other, guys. Take care.
Stay safe, stay home.
Stay safe, stay home. And yeah, just be nice to each other, please. We have enough mean people. Just be nice.